Our website is ifyoucrash.com, not limited to car accidents. Car accidents is probably the most common because there's so many vehicles up and down the road. There are a lot of accidents, and one of the biggest, I guess, misconceptions with individuals is if there's no blood and nothing's broken, it's, thank God I'm okay. Well, if your car's messed up, tell you what, you're not okay.
Hey, I'm Armando Leduc, producer, film actor, and owner of Leduc Entertainment. I've chosen a life off the beaten path and wanted to find others that are doing the same. Spaghetti on the Wall is a show based on all of the years that I've thrown spaghetti on the wall and nurtured what's stuck. We will share fun stories, ideas, tips, tricks, and more. Welcome to Spaghetti on the Wall. What's up, what's up, what's up? We are in another episode of Spaghetti on the Wall here in San Antone. Nobody calls it San Antone. I've been warned not to say that. I've been warned, but I'm going to keep saying it. Jerry, I'll say that. My co-host for the day. What's up, dude?
What up, y'all?
Yeah, man. We've been having a good day.
It has been a great day. Excited for our next guest, a new
Krista,
friend of mine.
Yes, go ahead. Introduce.
Yeah, Miss Krista Rodriguez, right here.
Good to be here, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. You know, we really do appreciate it. You're from South Texas. We're going to do this whole bit again.
I am from South
We're
Texas.
going to do this whole bit again because I, as an amateur, forgot to hit the record button, and we had such a good little banter going, and I'm going to try to recreate it now. So South Texas, aren't you already in South Texas?
We are in South Texas.
Correct.
However, I'm from the Rio Grande Valley, so that's pretty much as far as you can go before you get to the border. If you get to the border, you went just a little bit too far.
RGV is what?
RGV. I'm originally from Edinburg.
Right on. Edinburg?
Edinburg, Texas.
Like Edinburg, UK?
Without the H, but yes.
Ah, gotcha. Right on. And I've been learning about the whole German population here in Texas, which I had no idea was a thing.
It's huge in New Braunfels.
Yeah.
Huge in this whole area, yeah. So many of
just,
these central Texas towns got established by Germans. So.
Right. And Fredericksburg I did know about, but I did not know that New Braunfels was such a German town. So went to Wurstfest. Have you been to Wurstfest?
I have not been there yet. I should be making a trip here within the next couple of days.
It's crazy. I had no idea. It's like
it's huge.
It's massive.
It is.
Like stages galore.
Yeah, I think we shared it with Armando, and I think his first thought was where it was like a farmer's market or something. And I was like,
right.
It might be a little bit bigger than that.
Yeah, I mean, I had no way. I just had no idea at all. I had no frame of reference.
How does it compare to New Orleans?
I mean, it was like, how do you compare it? I don't know. I would more compare it to Germany than I would to New Orleans. But they throw a good party. The food was great. Mm-hmm. The beer was good. So, hey, I'm all about it. I say we go to Wurstfest again.
I'm down for the cause.
Yeah, we should go back tonight.
Business trip.
Yeah, and talk about it more. Anyway, you know what? That's enough. It's enough. I want to know about you, Krista. So you're from here. You do case management for a law firm called Almaraz Law Firm.
That is correct. The Almaraz Law Firm.
How long have you been doing that?
I have been doing this for 15 years now, and I've been with the Almaraz Law Firm I'm a little shy, hit the 11-year mark in the next couple of days.
Oh, wow. How does somebody stay in a company so long these days? You notice that? People aren't staying really long in companies.
Anymore,
this is like 2 years, 3 years, I'm out. You know what I mean? But
this one's the cause. It's the cause. It is. It's, believing in what you're doing. Mm-hmm. We're huge advocates for our clients. So at the end of the day, I'm blessed to be able to help out our family, our friends, in their time of need. Whether it's a car accident, more severely a wrongful death. There's just different situations whenever negligence is involved, resulting in injury or loss, that to be able to be thought of and be that person of need, and just to be able to kind of walk them through the whole situation, it's a blessing.
I mean, I've been working with a lot of attorneys as of late, just because I don't know, for some reason I'm in that world. And so I've been working with a lot of personal injury attorneys. And let me ask you, what do you think makes you guys, what differentiates you guys from other personal injury firms?
Well, first of all, we don't advertise. And the reason we don't advertise is because word of mouth, the reputation is very important for us. Mm-hmm. What really, really makes us different is we truly, truly value our relationship with the clients. It's not a number. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it's a relationship. We're in it together for 4, 6, 18, 24 months, however long the case takes. So it's very important for us to have that trust, have that relationship, and pretty much be able to empathize with our clients at the end of the day. We try not to come off as, very stiff, very billboardish. At the end of the day, we're a call away. We're your family friend. And we pretty much run off that. We're a large firm, but we push that small business approach.
Why don't you guys advertise?
Quite frankly, we really don't need to.
Uh-huh.
If anything, it's more of the reminder when we do that we're around. But we much rather use those funds to give back to the community. And that's ultimately why we don't do it.
How do you guys give back to the community?
Whether sponsorships to local events, every different season, depending whether it's teacher appreciation, whether it's a turkey drives, whether it's trick-or-treating drives. And there's a lot of stuff that we do that we don't necessarily advertise either. And that's pretty much what we're bigger on is, sometimes people will ask for us for help, and we don't need to publicize it. We're around, we will help, and we just keep moving forward.
I got you. How important is marketing in a business, though?
Marketing's huge. It's huge, especially coming up, from South Texas, coming into a new territory. Marketing is a very big deal. My focus primarily in this area has been to develop relationships, and at the end of the day, like I said, it's more about the relationships, so the numbers will follow thereafter. But marketing is huge, just having a presence. The good thing is we've got a great reputation. Mm-hmm. So I'm just kind of the reminder, showing up to now the community events and letting everybody know, hey, we're here. I'm here. I can be your person that you can call to be able to vet out your case and let you know, can we or can we not help?
Mm-hmm. Do y'all do any social media?
We do social media. We have a Facebook page. We're in the process of revamping our website and the Google reviews because that's huge. And like I said, not so much because we need it, but because at the end of the day, yes, people are looking into that. They do want to see that you are reputable. Mm-hmm. Fortunately for us, we've got all the awards and accolades that a lot of attorneys that are advertising do have. We don't blast them because thankfully we can be also picky about the cases that we take in.
That's
great.
At the end of the day. Mm-hmm. That's good to be that's good to be that way. How long have you guys been in business?
About 20 years.
And so you came from another law firm, obviously.
I did.
How did you make that connection with this law firm?
So, ironically or not, but Mr. Almaraz and I were employed by the same people previously. So the law firm he initially started with is where I started. I transitioned 2 years later into a firm that was pretty much just opening, primarily focusing on immigration. But I came in and was pretty much single-handedly overseeing the personal injury aspect of the cases and of the department. And Mr. Almaraz, through mutual friends, we made that connection. So as he was moving into another facility, I was actually just transitioned out of the personal injury field, and I was working on my insurance license. I just received my insurance license. We met. We hit it off. I was still getting a lot of calls from former clients, so it just worked. And 11 years later, here we are.
That's awesome. When you guys are doing your personal injury, does it feed into like work injury rights as well, or it's just
not necessarily work injury rights? For example, there's workers' comp cases that we don't necessarily handle. However, we will look through them because oftentimes when there's a workers' comp case, there could be a potential third party involved. Mm-hmm. Many times workers' comp will get involved to take care of their employees. However, the employee may not know at the time that there could be a personal injury claim. Workers' comp is going to be focused on, of course, getting them better, maybe not so much swiftly, but in an adequate amount of time to get them working again. And versus the potential third-party case where there could be more damages, there could be more injuries that are not possibly being looked at because of potential, coverages. So our job is to be able to examine that and see, is there a third-party case? Is it worth it for them to maybe not necessarily use their workers' comp, and or if they do, workers' comp, of course, if they do put out benefits and there's a third-party case, workers' comp has to get reimbursed as well, for any of the liens and any of the coverages they may have put out there. So our job is basically to facilitate that reimbursement and also make sure that, our client gets all the additional services they may need. PTSD is real, emotional trauma is real, aside from, your physical damages.
How are you guys doing the trauma and mental health portion of, I guess, the service?
Whenever we take on a client, we pretty much will coordinate an appointment with a specialist within their area, if possible. We try to make sure that all the medical providers are within a good range. I mean, most of these people are already going through a traumatic experience of some sort. So the last thing you want them to do is be traveling extra distances. So we will find a provider that's willing to work with them or take on their case. And that's pretty much how we coordinate it. As long as the doctors are qualified for that specific issue, we'll coordinate the appointment for the clients and then pretty much let the doctors, handle their part. We don't direct any of the treatment. We just, hey, this is the doctor you're going to see, and we sit back and wait for, those records to come in.
There's a lot of accidents here in San Antonio?
There's a lot of accidents up and down 35, 1604, everywhere. Accidents are everywhere. Our website is ifyoucrash.com, not limited to car accidents, but
I like that.
That is the most common. Car accidents is probably the most common because there's so many vehicles up and down the road. So, yes, there are a lot of accidents, and one of the biggest, I guess, misconceptions with individuals is if there's no blood and nothing's broken, it's, thank God I'm okay. Well, if your car's messed up, tell you what, you're not okay.
Yeah.
So people just feel like, well, I'm not missing any digits or anything, so I'm all right. Yeah, but technically you're probably not, and you're downplaying it, and you're not the doctor, you're not the expert. So sometimes it's, hey, just get yourself checked out. Let the doctor decide whether you're okay or not. And the other misconception is, well, I'm dealing with the insurance company. They're going to take care of me. The insurance company isn't there to advocate for you at the end of the day.
Right.
That's what we're here for. I mean, it's a business, for them. So while they're pretty much kind of trying to manage their money, well, we're on your side trying to manage your case to make sure that you don't leave any money on the table.
Right.
And we don't put the price tag on the case either. The clients do. It's your body, it's your injuries, it's your situation. We're just here to make sure that you've got all the proper tools in front of you to get you pretty much to as close to back to 100% as possible.
How many personal injury attorneys are in this area, do you know?
There's a lot.
There's a lot?
Yeah, to me, it seems like every other billboard that I see is a personal injury attorney.
Do y'all do billboards?
It seems like.
We have a few in the Valley. We haven't put any up here yet, but quite frankly, we just really haven't had the need to, thankfully.
You have some in the Valley? Where's the Valley?
South Texas, Rio Grande Valley.
Oh, that place.
That valley.
3 hours away.
3.5 hours away.
Oh, so you guys have several offices then?
We do. We're statewide. We have offices
Gotcha.
in McAllen. We're here in San Antonio. We're in Laredo, Houston, Midland. And those are just pretty much central locations, but we can cover anywhere within the state as well.
Gotcha. So you do some marketing, but not much?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Because of the word of mouth?
Yes, sir.
How are y'all competing against other personal injury attorneys that are marketing? Just curious.
We really don't feel like we have to compete. At this point, there is a lot of work for everybody.
Sure.
If it does come down to, some clients will tend to reach out to several firms. The way we compete is basically just letting them know who we are and what we stand for.
Right.
Let them know at the end of the day, you're not a number. You're a person, your relationship, and depending on their case, because every situation's different, but, letting them know that their case matters. They matter. And at the end of the day, we're committed to them and their case and getting them the results that they deserve.
Talk to me about your customer journey.
Customer journey. How so?
So, for instance, when somebody comes in, what's the intake like? How are they choosing you? How are you guys following up?
Okay. Well, usually whenever we get a call, intake-wise, we'll evaluate the case. We'll evaluate the case, give them a rundown of the services we provide. At that point, if they give us permission and they're willing to sign on with us and, they want to accept us and we accept them, pretty much we kind of get the case rolling. It comes into the office. There are about 10 assistants or so within the office, and all of our assistants, I'm probably one of the younger ones, and I come with 15 years experience. Mr. Almaraz also is, a lot of attorneys these days don't meet their clients. And that's huge.
Really?
Because there's so many assistants. Sometimes they'll go through the whole show and they'll maybe know the name of the attorney, but they won't meet the attorney. So usually within the, first week or two, if they don't meet him on the initial onset, they will meet him within, the first couple of weeks once we've gathered enough information for him to sit down again and review it with them. But usually, whatever assistant the clients are dealing with at the time of the intake, they're getting a very educated overview on how their case is going to go. So once the case comes into the system, every case is different. Every situation's different. The most important thing that we always want to know is what are the injuries and what are the damages, because that's how we're going to know how to assess the case. At that point of knowing what the injuries are, what the damages are, then we formulate a plan specific to that case. Because I always tell clients, it's like playing cards. Every case is different, every injury is different, every impact. Every insurance company is different. And then, of course, every adjuster within every insurance company is different as well. So it's pretty much laying everything out and playing their situation the best possible. It's going to be the better outcome for them at the end of the day. Again, it all tailors back as far as that portion of it to where are they with their injuries, what are their damages, what kind of policy limits are we looking at. That's huge also. A lot of times, people are focused on, well, it's not right. This happened to me. It wasn't my fault. Yes, it's not your fault, and we understand that. But, of course, within the laws, within whatever the policy limits are, we've got to manage their case and be vigilant of what their expenses are at the end of the day. Because our job is to not put them in further debt. At this point, our job is to figure out what the bills are, see if we can get some good reductions for them, get them some pain and suffering funds as well. So a lot of the cases, once they come in, the clients are treating. Like we tell them at the end of the day, you put the price tag on your case. We don't. So at the point of them completing their medical treatment, then we step in, we collect their medical records and bills, we formulate a demand package, which includes all that information, and we send that off to the insurance company. So ideally, cases, again, depending on the situation, can last anywhere from 4 months, 6 months, 10 months, a year. Some of the larger cases can last anywhere between 1 to 2 years, depending. Like I said, every case is different. What I usually tell clients to expect is once you're done treating, you can expect your case to close within pretty much 2 to 3 months. Because the insurance company's got to review their file for 3 weeks before they even make offers on their case to begin with.
That's the customer journey when somebody signs on. What if somebody doesn't sign on? Like, what's y'all's follow-up strategy at that point?
Usually if they don't sign on, we pretty much we'll follow up with them if they're thinking about it. We'll follow up with them maybe, once or twice, but at the point of them saying they hired somebody else,
sure,
hey, good luck at that point. We really won't, we technically cannot follow up with them.
Right.
At that point.
So they've already, how many people, do you guys know what your closing rate is? As far as like how many people have come through and how many people end up using your services?
Pretty much our closing rate is, I'd say about 95%. It's very few and far that we don't close. But granted, there are going to be some people who, hey, a family member recommended, somebody else. And that's common. It is. If anything, especially being in an area where there is a little bit more saturation with the attorneys and everything, you do get a little bit more of, well, I'll think about it, or, hey, I'm not going to lie, I'm interviewing several people. Just had somebody reach out to me yesterday who I spoke to in August and was like, yeah, I'm sorry, a family friend was recommended, but I just don't think they're capable or of handling my case at this point. And I'm like, well, we can advise you because you do have an attorney. But this person was also reaching out to me for a separate issue that was kind of related to, but not that specific case, which is why I was able to at least take the call. But other than that, you know, it is, like I said, when someone signs with someone else, hey, sorry. If someone has hired somebody else to reaching out, it's unethical. We cannot speak to them at that point.
So when people go through the customer journey, do you guys send like emails to keep them updated and educated on the whole process, or no?
As far as that's concerned, we're always open communication. We pretty much have an open door policy. So from them being able to contact us by phone, by text, by email, they're pretty much being walked through the whole process. You know, whether it's following up after appointments just to get an idea of where they're at in the case. But there's always communication. That's what we pride ourselves on the most, is our communication. You know, a lot of folks have not been through this. So being transparent with them is huge because they are unsure. They don't know what they're going to do.
Right.
They've never been through it. Well, I've done this in and out for the last 15 years. You know, it's just like another day at the office. And for some of these people, it's like, well, hold on. I signed on with an attorney. I've never done this before. I'm scared. Well, hold on. What are you scared about? Like, that's why we're here. You know, we're here to kind of ease those nerves and let them know, hey, all you got to do is take care of yourself. We'll handle the rest. We're that middle point of communication between you and the insurance company. So, no, clients are always kept informed. And I always tell everyone, if you don't hear from me, you bug me. Call us. That's what, you know, you can go on a wild goose chase from one day to the next with different calls or different situations or a situation on a new case that may come up. But we're always welcome to clients calling us, coming by, hey, set up an appointment, we'll sit down and speak to you. You know, it's their case at the end of the day. They gave us the opportunity to serve them. So we're in it together.
Yeah, and Chris, so I'm curious because as you're thinking about like why someone maybe be hesitant about reaching out, I think anytime, at least I think of maybe like an attorney, I think, oh, that's going to be expensive, right? It's like in transparency, can you share like how do y'all get paid or in that industry? Like how are y'all compensated in a personal injury situation?
We work on a contingency basis. So as you see a lot of these ads everywhere, you don't pay us unless we win. That's exactly the way it works. It's a contingency basis. So again, yes, people are always worried about what's it going to cost me? I don't have money. I already don't have a vehicle or I have bills. Hey, again, we're in it together at the end of the day. We need each other. You know, without a client, we can't function. So, again, it's on a contingency basis. And with that being said, of course, it's in everyone's, you know, best interest for us to do a good job. You know, so, you know, we're tied into each other at the end of the day. They don't put any out-of-pocket expenses at all. It's rare for a client to put any out-of-pocket expenses. That's why we're involved, to help ease that pressure. So their only concern is them getting their health back to 100%. And in some circumstances, you've got people who may have lost a loved one. So at that point, it's like, hey, you guys take care of your family. You grieve. You know, do what you need to. We'll take care of the legal matters.
Right.
You know, so at that point, yeah, we're not only their, you know, legal representation, we're pretty much kind of like their counselors. You know, we are their advisors. And just reassuring them, you know, at the end of the day, in those situations, you cannot put a price tag on an individual. And they're very unfortunate circumstances. Because sometimes we're not meeting our clients, we're meeting their families. So we're only hearing the stories of our clients. You know, we're sitting down with the widows, with the children, and having to see them pretty much transition into a life where someone vital's no longer around.
So how do you bridge that gap of, I understand you're having the worst time of your life. Here's a bill. You know what I mean? Like here's how much it costs.
A lot of times, you know, they may not even be able to. They got to go plan a funeral. They may not even know how to do that either. You know.
Are y'all helping with that too?
Depending on the situations, if we're needed and we're called on to assist them, once we're hired, we can. You know, we can guide them through it. That's not a problem. At this point, you know, you've got widows with blank stares in their eyes and bringing their kids into the office, and yeah, I mean, if that's what we have to do for them, we will.
So, but my question is, how do you, like, I would be such a weird interaction, right? Like, oh, Jerry, I'm so sorry about this, but here you go. This is the bill. Like, how do you transition into the sales part mixed with the
as far as for
supportive part?
Our fees are concerned, well, at that point, it's going to come at the end of the case. So
comes at the end of the case?
The bill, as far as for our fees, So again, it's that contingency basis. So at the point of settlement is when the bill gets taken care of. Now, by that point, we've already built a relationship with them because we've been through them through the darkest times.
Sure.
So now we're pretty much friends and family at this point.
But isn't that talked about at the beginning?
Oh, yeah. We're definitely talking about the beginning because they're agreeing to sign. But again, it's, hey, let them know it's a contingency basis, whatever the case settles for. At the point of settlement, then we will discuss and show, hey, look, this is what the settlement amount is. This is what our fee is. These are the expenses. Everything's super clear, very itemized, so it's very well understood.
Got it.
The last thing we want is for there to be any questions, especially when it comes down to talking about money. So everything is, like I said, very transparent along the way. Right.
So I go back to the question because I really want to know how that is. What is that exchange like? Like, you know what I mean? Like so how do you transition into the conversation of, because you're listening, right? The first meeting is all about the discovery, right? What's happened, how did it work, blah, 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 blah. Who's your insurance company, all of that, right? And then we're going into...
the client's usually going to ask, what's it going to cost me?
Oh, so you're waiting for them to ask, usually.
They don't necessarily always ask. Sometimes they do. Sometimes that's very upfront. I don't have any money. The other part of it is, well, we understand that, but we're not asking for any money. We're asking you for your trust at this point.
Got it.
So they're going to trust us to handle their case with, of course, the agreement that once the case settles, we get a percentage of what the case settles for.
Okay. And then also, hourly, right? If they have no hourly.
No hourly. It's strictly contingent. So we're not charging for calls, texts, copies.
Are there businesses that do?
There are. Not typically personal injury, but there are businesses that do. Most personal injury attorneys do work on a contingency basis.
Gotcha. So what they're doing is they're trying to figure out, okay, based on what you're telling me, I feel like we could probably get this much depending on my experience with these, with these judges and the insurance companies. We can probably, not necessarily guarantee, but we can say around this price is what,
typically ballpark, and the majority of the cases don't even make it to the point of going to court. A lot of them are settled at either the pre-litigation phase or at mediation. So a lot of the cases, depending on the situation, won't even make it up to the courtroom. Maybe the court, house steps, but as far as going into the courtroom, not likely.
I didn't know that. So you guys are, is it just him, the attorney?
Yes.
Are there any other attorneys that work for the office?
No, it's just Mr. Almaraz.
So you guys are at capacity right now? Can you guys handle more cases?
We can always handle more cases.
What's the threshold?
Honestly, cases are pretty much in and out. We've got a very good, pretty much streamline and assembly line of how we work the cases. So, typically we don't have that problem where files are sitting there collecting dust and it's like, hey, we can settle this one today or we're going to wait. No, once a client finishes their treatment, everyone's pretty much waiting at that point for their payout. Clients have invested their time. You've got medical providers who have also invested their time, and we've invested our time, the whole way through as well. So at the end of the day, we all pretty much get paid at the same time. So clearly, we do have, we want to get them taken care of in a timely manner. At the end of the day, they're like, well, I've already gone through all this treatment and I've done this and where's it at? So we try to make it a speedy process as long as the results are adequate for the type of case. Right. We can't, of course, close a case without the client's permission. So we've all pretty much got to be on the same page at that point, when it comes time to potentially close the case.
Makes sense. Well, cool. Jerry, you got any questions?
Yeah. So I'm curious, you've been doing this quite a while now. How did you get introduced to the business or the industry? Was it something that you knew maybe like, man, that's of interest, I want to go into that field?
Kind of funny. So I had just graduated from college, and one of my uncles was working at a law firm. And he's like, hey, you need to apply here. And I'm like, nah, I really don't. You know, my parents were like, hey, you should try it. My previous job was I was working at a gym. So I said, nah, I'm gonna go back to the gym and I'm gonna go back to school. They're like, my parents were like, no, just check it out. And I was, you know, smart ass 21-year-old and fresh out of college. And I'm like, nah, Mom. I was like, for what? I'm like, I'm going to start. They're going to like me. I'm going to do a good job. And I was just joking. Okay, well, joke's on me. You know, right. So I was at that firm for 2 years. I got recruited to the second firm where I was there for about 1.5 years. And then I took that 6-month break, got my insurance license, and then was recruited to this firm. And here we are.
Here you are.
11 years later.
You like it?
I love it. Like I said, going back to just being able to help our family and friends in times of need. You know, it's amazing to be able to get that call. The situations aren't great, but to know that you're thought of and you're trusted when somebody really needs help, hey, I got you. Yeah. You know, how much better can it get? Be like, I got you. I'm take care of you. You know, we got your back.
Yep.
So it's good. It's good. It's very fulfilling, especially at the end of the day when, you know, the case is closed. You're able to tell them, hey, are you feeling better? Yes. Cool. Did everything go as planned? Went better, you know? And they get their pain and suffering funds at the end. So, you know, hopefully they feel close to 100% better.
Yeah.
But at least at this point, they've gotten medical treatment. They know what's wrong with them. Hopefully, like I said, they're better. And they're satisfied at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, these are people I'm running into at events and stuff. We're not hiding.
Yeah.
You know, we're here.
You
we're
better
not
do a
going
good job.
Anywhere. You know my name. You probably know where I live,
right.
You know. So that's how we carry the relationships with all our clients, not just our family and friends. And I think that's really, really what makes us completely different, you know, than anybody else. Aside from people see billboards, they see commercials, and they're like, well, I'm just a common individual, you know. I don't know how I feel. Well, guess what? We put our pants on one leg at a time, too.
Yeah.
You know, we're just like anybody else. So being able to empathize with who your clients are is huge. You know, at the end of the day, this is not something they deal with every day.
Yeah.
So to be able to put everything in layman terms and them understand and know, okay, I like them, I trust them, they're not BSing me, you know, it's not a show. These are real people.
Yeah.
You know, they're not straight from the TV. It's like, no, if we come out here and there, cool, but you know, for the most part, it's the relationships.
100%. Well, look into that camera right there and tell them where they can find you.
You can find us. It's the Almaras Law Firm. You can contact us at 1-800-247-REC and or 956-800-1046. You can also email me at Krista, that's Krista, at almaraslaw.com. That's ALMARAZlaw.com.
Yeah. Well, all right, Krista. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I was. You know, I learned something, which is why I do this podcast, because I really want to learn stuff. So, thank you so much for being on the show, ladies and gentlemen. That was an episode of Spaghetti on the Wall, brought to you by Leduc Entertainment. For all of your digital marketing needs, social media, videos, we got you. And you can watch Spaghetti on the Wall on YouTube, but you can also listen wherever you can find podcasts. Spotify, Apple Music, Google, the whole nine. You can find a Spaghetti on the Wall, and we'll see y'all next time.